right? Shalom, shalom. Hey, Tawab Yawam. I'm back out here once again on these highways and hedges in the chief place of concourse as commanded. Now, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, and Barakatah Yahweh Shai, and the Wada, Yahweh Shem Shai, Kayaha, Barakah Badash. That is the Holy Spirit which moves me, compels me to come out here to prophesy of the salvation which is coming to our nation, my nation, the nation of Israel, which the nation of Israel consists primarily of the so-called black and indigenous peoples here in the Western Hemisphere. Now we understand and we acknowledge that our people are dispersed throughout the four winds of heaven, the four corners of the earth. Yet, for the most part, we are being categorized, we are being classified as black Americans, as Puerto Ricans, as Mexicans, Haitians, Guatemalans, Salvadorans, Dominicans, again, those of us of quote-unquote black or indigenous descent. And our salvation coincides with the destruction of America, which America is spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. It's also known as Nineveh, Assyria, Tyrus, and above all, Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. And how is this place going to be destroyed according to prophecy? By intercontinental ballistic and hypersonic missiles, which are coming over here from Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, and pursuant to Jeremiah 50 and 14, all those that have nuclear capability. All of these nations are going to click up and they're going to annihilate this place. They're going to nuke this place. It's going to be a nuclear holocaust. And I want to get into the rampant increasing American debt, which it just hit 37 trillion. And that's all biblical prophecy. All right, the scriptures talk about how this man would be laden with thick clay. And as a result, you're going to see mass layoffs. You're going to see more uproars, more sedition. You're going to see more destitute women. And hey, this is what we've been speaking about. So let me go ahead and pull this up, because there's a lot going on. World Bank predicts worst decade for global growth since the 60s. This is going to be the worst decade for growth according to these different economists, right? This is Amanda Goodall. I follow her on X. I would recommend you taking a look. So they make $130,000 a year, have 725 credit scores, and they're using credit cards to buy groceries, y'all. Lending Club says the affluent debt crisis is real, and it's betting big on fixing it, but you're not going to fix this. You're not going to get up out of this. Let me grab this real quick in the book of Sirach. Actually, I'll start here in the book of Proverbs, the 22nd chapter, right? Oh, that wasn't too bad. All right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 7. Proverbs 22, verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. That's right. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the rich are increasing in riches. And the borrower is servant to the lender. Who's the lender? The international bankers, starting with the Rothschilds. And you taking out all this debt eventually is going to catch up to you. And that's what America is going through right now. And that's why they're trying to go into Iran. And guess what? There ain't no new thing under the sun. That's what Antiochus Epiphanes sought to do. He wanted to go and hit a lick in Persia, but that's where he met his end. All right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 21. This is in GNT. Verse 8. Anyone who borrows money to build a house is just collecting stones for his own tomb. That's right. So these people are seeking to maintain a house. Like she pointed out, you have people that are taking out loans. They're taking out credit cards just to provide for them and their family. All right, for groceries. Well, what is that going to do? Anyone who borrows money to build a house is just collecting stones for his own tomb. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. That's why you got that term, oh, I'm drowning in debt. Well, in all actuality, biblically, what you're doing is you're building your house. You're collecting stones for your own tomb. So now let me grab this. In the book of Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Wealth is deceitful. Greedy people are proud and restless. That's right. Proud and restless. That's Esau/Edom. Like death itself, they are never satisfied. This is why they conquer nation after nation for themselves. See? And that's what they're seeking to do. They're seeking to tackle Iran. And as I spoke about either yesterday or the day before, it was just confirmed. They plan on leading, they planned on the Iranians, the Persians, leading a popular uprising as a result of that decapitation strike. They ain't really think this thing through. Speaking about them Israelis, which they did this in cooperation with the Americans. So then they can what? They can divide up the country and steal the resources. That's what they do. Why you think Trump just entered into an agreement with the new leader of Syria? And it dealt with what? Rare earth minerals. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and pull that up. So Bashar Assad, he was deposed. He's over there in Russia now. Now they got some dude who was literally a commander of ISIS and Al Qaeda. Now supposedly America is against Al Qaeda and ISIS, right? ISIL, Daesh, as they're known in the region, right? But they're doing deals with this guy who was an actual high-ranking commander, because we understand that America funds ISIS and Al Qaeda primarily via its proxies over there in Israel. Those are Mossad backed organizations, Mossad backed groups. All right, but let me look this up. Rare earth minerals, Syria. Because that was the whole point. They wanted the resources. Syria pitches Ukraine-like minerals deal to the U.S. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara has presented the U.S. with a minerals deal similar to the one Washington had with Ukraine in exchange for lifting its decade-long sanctions. And guess what? It was done. It was done. Trump says U.S. to lift Syria sanctions secures $600 billion Saudi deal. See, so that's what they do. I'm gonna read this again in the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. And they're trying to play that same story out over there in Iran, but it's not working. The Iranians is lighting them Israelis up to the point where the Israelis, they have to admit it. It's estimated that 1/3 of Tel Aviv is destroyed. Now, Douglas McGregor, he said that yesterday, and then they was mocking him, but then you have actual officials over there in Israel, in the Israeli government, they're admitting such, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. So hey, it ain't the same old story with Iran. And again, we understand according to prophecy, that's where you're gonna meet your end. Just as Antiochus Epiphanes, he met his end going over there into Persia, into what we now know as Iran, is gonna be the same thing with Donald J. Trump. If he don't get smoked first, if his ass don't get assassinated. All right, but let me go back to the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Habakkuk 2, verse 5 in the G&T. Wealth is deceitful. Greedy people are proud and restless. That's right. They already have all the earth's resources just about, but they always want more. They're insatiable. Like death itself, they are never satisfied. That is why they conquer nation after nation for themselves, right? And that's what they're seeking to do. The conquered people will taunt their conquerors and show their scorn for them. They will say, you take what isn't yours, but you are doomed. That's right. And that's what the nations are saying right now. Matter of fact, I just favorited something earlier. It said it was like a meme. It was like a meme speaking about Iran and how they're bombing Israel and they're looking around and nobody cares. Why? Because upon whom has not thy wickedness passed continually? Because America and Israel, there's a reason why Israel is often referred to as the 51st state. They work hand in hand. They're an extension of the American empire. So that's why all these other nations, they're not tripping off of what's going on with them Israelis. They see what they've been doing over there in Gaza. Or they themselves have been meddling in their internal affairs, their domestic affairs via Mossad in cooperation and collaboration with the CIA. So they're like, good for these people. Oh, I'm reading, that was a Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter in the G&T. You got to shed that crappy KJV. I was actually just reading in the G&T. So, and it's not crappy. The King James Version, according to my elders, their elders, and my estimates, is the most accurate translation. However, from time to time, I do primarily go into the G&T and the NLT. Sometimes the NIV as well. Yeah, hey, loud the bar, brother. Loud the bar. U.S. winning under Trump again. They told us they would cut the debt. Hey, that's what Doge was all about, right? Cutting government spending. Now it's reached 37 trillion. 40 trillion is not far off. The U.S. continues to implode, right? Now, speaking of Israel, right, they're already under siege. You know, peep this. The world's largest shipping company, Maersk, has announced the suspension of all commercial shipping to Israel's Haifa port. Why is that? Because Haifa is being bombarded right now by missiles. Now, what else are the Israelis saying? Israeli authorities state there are currently no indications that the central government in Tehran is losing control. Quite the opposite. The Iranian regime appears to be tightening its grip. That's right. Israel initially hoped that targeted decapitation strikes against Iran's leadership would provoke a popular uprising. Instead, according to Israeli officials, the strikes have strengthened the revolutionary government's popularity among the Iranian people. That's right, man. So you devils, you're at the end of your rope. Iranian media. The school targeted in Tel Aviv was located on top of an IDF military command center. That's right, baby, because you got the Israelis saying, well, look, they're attacking civilians. Well, you're actually doing the same thing that you accuse Hamas of doing, hiding amongst the civilian population, which that's prohibited according to international law. But that's a classic projection by the so-called Jew. Just hold on. The mayor of Haifa, because we just read about how now that shipping company, they're not going to go into the port, right? So the mayor of Haifa, I feel deeply depressed. The Iranians have bombed 2 strategic points. Beautiful, man. Explosions reported in Haifa, Israel, after Iranian missile strikes. Strike after strike after strike. And guess what? As I was going into yesterday in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, the Russians are in lockstep with him. And I'm going to read a little bit on that. Iran didn't want our help. If the situation escalates, we'll see if they will need help. Iran agreement does not have a defense clause. Iran does not ask Russia for help. Iran did not want to cooperate with Russia on air defense previously. Iran wants the fight alone. They're proud and want to be self-reliant. If the situation escalates, we'll see if they will need help. For now, they don't want it. And eventually, the Iranians, they are going to get help from the Russians. As I was reading in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter yesterday, also from Russia, our reaction in the event of the assassination of Ali Khamenei will be extremely negative. Why? Because there's talks that he's going to get assassinated. You have certain people saying that he already got hit. But let me go back up. Several Russian military cargo planes are now en route to resupply Iran with missiles, rockets, and other weapons. Planes turned off their transponders immediately after takeoff from Moscow. And so this thing is heating up, baby. The Israeli air defense layers are clearly collapsing, and it will get much worse in the coming days, which means they're going to have to escalate things. That nuclear weapon is going to go off pretty soon. And then we're going to see what? We're going to see the intervention of Russia and China. Now, let me go back to this. This is a member of the, let me go to this, the member of the Chinese Communist Party. If countries join the war alongside Israel, don't exclude the possibility that major countries would join Iran. What are those major countries? Russia and China. You also got Pakistan. They've already stated openly that they'll go ahead and they'll nuke Israel. All right, if Iran is nuked. Iran reportedly targeted a chemical plant in the Negev region of southern Israel. Channel 13 warns of potential hazardous material leaks following the strike. Right, and it's also reported that they struck Dimona. Now listen to this. Assassination attempt on Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Geneva, Switzerland. He survived an assassination attempt this morning, according to Iranian media reports. How can they trust any good faith negotiations when they leak their locations and try to kill them? Exactly. Now, going back to Russia, Russia is in contact with Iran almost daily. Going back to Ezekiel the 38th chapter. Putin, I'm concerned about the world drifting to World War III. Russian President Putin says Russia and Iran are fighting against the same forces. So this is what he said just today, man. Meanwhile, America's in all this goddamn debt that they're not going to be able to get out of. So really, America is imploding, and it's only going to get worse. All right, so this is the book of Habakkuk 2, verse 6. The conquered people will taunt their conquerors and show their scorn for them. They will say, you take that what isn't yours, but you are doomed. How long would you go on getting rich? By forcing your debtors to pay up. But before you know it, you that have conquered others will be in debt yourselves and be forced to pay interest. Damn. There you go. And that's what's happening to America. Let me read this again. But before you know it, you that have conquered others, you Americans, you that have conquered others will be in debt yourselves. $37 trillion. And be forced to pay interest. Enemies will come and make you tremble. They will plunder you. That's right, man. And that's what these other nations are plotting on. While America is plotting on spoiling the world, the other nations are plotting on spoiling Babylon the Great. You have plundered the people of many nations, but now those who have survived will plunder you because of the murders you have committed and because of your violence against the people of the world and its cities. You are doomed. That's right. America's doomed. There ain't no way America's going to get out of this situation. You are doomed. You have made your family rich with what you took by violence. That's right. So all these international banking families, they got it by what? They got it by theft. They got it by violence. Matter of fact, let me pull this up. I'm going to stay in the G&T. Sirach, the 10th chapter. All right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 10, in the G&T, Good News Translation. Sirach 10, verse 7. Arrogance and injustice are hated by both Ha'adawan and people. Injustice, arrogance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power. Right. And that's what America exhibits to a T. Injustice, arrogance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power. And others then rise to take their place. That's right. And the others are rising to take their place. Which you have the other nations, they're rising thinking that they're going to take their place. But who's really going to take the place of the wicked, of the heathen, the chief of the heathen, Esau/Edom, the nation of Israel? All right, so now, let me go back to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, verse 9. You are doomed. You have made your family rich with what you took by violence. That's right, because the nation of Edom is an extended family. Just family after family after family, in which they're now considered a race or a nation of people. So you are doomed. You have made your family rich with what you took by violence and have tried to make your own home safe and from harm and danger. That's right. And that's colonization. So you go to other parts of the globe, right? You steal all their resources, and then you ship the resources back over to your land. All right, you leave the people impoverished, totally gone, totally destitute. But then you fortify your homelands. That's colonization to a T. You are doomed. You have made your family rich with what you took by violence and have tried to make your own home safe from harm and danger. But your schemes have brought shame on your family. By destroying many nations, you have only brought ruin on yourself. That's right. All the plots, all the traps, the schemes that you set for the other nations, they're now falling upon you. Let's grab this real quick. In the book of Proverbs, the 27th chapter, Proverbs 26, verse 26. Whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. That's right, the wickedness of Esau/Edom is being showed before the whole globe. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. That's right, so this man has been digging pits But now he's fallen into the pit. He's fallen into the snare. He's falling into the trap. So let me go ahead and pull this up in the G&T. Then I'm going to go to the book of Job. Because really I wanted to get into how this complete breakdown is going to affect women more than anybody. Because online, you got a lot of women complaining about how they don't get hollered at no more. You know, they going out, they dressing up. Because women go through, man, all types of links to attract men. But men are just not even concentrating on women for the most part anymore. Men are turned off. And so you got men being turned off by women at the least opportune time for these women. Yet, you know, the Spirit got me going into this. But it all ties in, man, because in the time of economic and political collapse, men, they get in that manly spirit. And then women, man, they're just out there to be what? Plundered. All right, this is the book of Proverbs 26 and 26 in the G&T. He may disguise his hatred, but everyone will see the evil things he does. That's right. This man, he seeks to conceal his hatred, but everybody what? Sees what he does. Sees the evil thing he does. People who set traps for others get caught themselves. People who start landslides get crushed. That's right. And that's Esau/Edom. All right, he's setting traps, but he's getting caught in it. All right, he's starting a landslide, but he's getting crushed by it. The Freemasons, yeah, that's just an extension of Esau's power. It's one of the groups associated with lesser luminaries of the Edomites. And then you have some of our people, they're in these Masonic lodges as well. Some of the other nations as well. But that's really something that Esau's into. It's a lower level secret society. All right, so now I'm going to go to the book of Job. All right, so this is the book of Job, the 18th chapter, verse 5. The light of the wicked will be put out. Its flame will never burn again. The lamp in their tents will be darkened. Their steps were firm, but now they stumble. That's right. So for the longest, Esau's steps were firm, but now he's what? He's stumbling. Their steps were firm, but now they stumble. They fall, listen to this, victims of their own advice. They walk into a net and their feet are caught. A trap catches their heels and holds them. On the ground, a snare is hidden. A trap has been set in their path. That's right. And so America was really established to be a snare and a trap for you Edomites. Because although you accumulated all this wealth, or you conquered the people, you had the doctrine of manifest destiny, that it was manifest that you would conquer the contiguous United States. You didn't consider what was the end of it, that you would end up being enslaved and eventually exterminated. And that the society that you built by slave labor would be nuked. You didn't consider that. On the ground, a snare is hidden. A trap has been set in their path. All around them, terror is waiting. It follows them at every step. That's right. So terror is waiting to consume you heathens. Starting with you Edomites. All around them, terror is waiting. And it follows them at every step. Listen to this. They used to be rich, but now they go hungry. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Let me read this again. They used to be rich, but now they go hungry. Now you got all these Edomites going hungry. And you have people that have lost it all within the last 5-6 years. And it's only going to get worse. America as a whole was once opulent. Now America's in all types of debt. They used to be rich, but now they go hungry. Disaster stands and awaits at their side. A deadly disease spreads over their bodies and causes their arms and legs to rot. They are torn from the tents where they live secure. Right, so you were once secure, right? They are torn from the tents where they live secure and are dragged off to face King Death. Now anyone may live in their tents. Bam! And sulfur is sprinkled to disinfect them. Their roots and branches are withered and dry. Their fame is ended at home and abroad. That's right, man. Ain't nobody checking for you devils no more. You're made small amongst the heathen and greatly despised. Here in Babylon the Great and across the globe. Their fame is ended at home and abroad. No one remembers them anymore. They will be driven out of the land of the living, driven from light into darkness. They have no descendants, no survivors, because there's going to be a complete extermination upon Esau. From east to west, all who hear of their fate shudder and tremble with fear. That is the fate of evil people, the fate of those who care nothing for the Heavenly Father. That's right. So that's the fate of you goddamn devils, man. And guess what? You understand that. You know when the spirit was coming for your ass. Right, Esau is done. Proverbs 4:16. Right, that's the spirit. Wicked people cannot sleep unless they have done something wrong. They lie awake unless they have hurt someone. That's right, that's the elites of the society. They're always plotting, they're always scheming. But guess what? That trap, that snare, they're falling into it. All right, so now let me go ahead and pull up some more. Trump administration doesn't rule out using tactical nuclear bombs against Iran. Exactly, because they can't do nothing else. They can't do nothing else, man. The Iranians is lighting their ass up. Iran will not, this is the Iranian presidential spokesman to CNN, Iran will not stop uranium enrichment for peaceful purposes, but concessions are possible. The Iran talks end in Geneva. So let's see what comes of this. Let me see. Oh, by the way, Israel is bombing southern Lebanon right now. Hey, so they just going all out, man. Complete crash dummies. Let me see what else. The USS Nimitz carrier strike group to arrive in the Middle East this weekend. So, brothers, we got to keep our eyes open. Don't be surprised if it gets hit. Similar to the Gulf of Tonkin. You had the Gulf of Tonkin incident, and that was the justification for America entering into Indochina, what we know as Vietnam. Hey, don't be surprised if the same thing happens. Yeah, let me check something else. I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Yeah, so let me go back to Habakkuk, and I'll go ahead and I'll wrap up. Just a quick lesson. Now the one I'm going to get with the Akim this weekend. Yeah, that's it. All right, so going back to Habakkuk 2, verse 10. But your schemes have brought shame on your family. By destroying many nations, you have only brought ruin on yourself. Even the stones of the walls cry out against you, and the rafters echo the cry. Now, I know you brothers saw when Netanyahu was speaking, the wall started cracking in the aftermath of the missile strike. Hey, well, that's an example. Even the stones of the walls cry out against you, and the rafters echo the cry. You see that? So that was an example right there. That was a literal example, and he looked shook too. He looked wearied in mind. Hey, brothers, put a thumb up if you saw that. I know the brother Nathan, I don't know if he's on here. I know that he peeped it because he was speaking about that when he was on the highways and hedges, man. Hey, the spirit is against you, devils, and you know it. You know the spirit is against you. You are doomed. You founded a city on crime and built it up by murder. That's right. So everything that Esau did to establish his land is what he would now call armed robbery, murder, theft. He'll lock you up for it now. But he calls it manifest destiny. Oh, the white man's burden. That's what this goddamn devil calls it. Well, guess what? It's crime against the Heavenly Father. You gotta peep that, man. You gotta peep that. As soon as he was speaking, he went to start the press conference, and stones literally fell down. And he looked back. He was shook, man. I'm gonna read this again. Even the stones of the walls cry out against you, and the rafters echo the cry. You are doomed. You founded a city on crime and built it up by murder. The nations you conquered wore themselves out in useless labor. Right. So why were we brought to this country? For labor. All right, to build up the society. The nations you conquered wore themselves out in useless labor. And all they have built goes up in flames. That's right, man, because America's going to get nuked. All the labor that we did, it's going to be all for naught, man. Because it's all going to go up in smoke. Ha'adwan Yahweh, the Almighty, has done this. But the earth will be as full of the knowledge of Ha'adwan Yahweh's glory as the seas are full of water. You know what? I'm going to keep reading. You are doomed, right? So the Heavenly Father is against you goddamn devils. He says this repeatedly. You are doomed. You are doomed. In your fury, you humiliated and disgraced your neighbors. You made them stagger as though they were drunk. That's right, man. Human zoos. And that's what you so-called white people used to do. You used to put so-called black people, primarily Hamites, but also Israelites amongst them, used to put them in human zoos. That's humiliating. You made them stagger as though they were drunk. You, in turn, will be covered with shame instead of honor. You yourself will drink and stagger. Ha'adwan Yahweh will make your own cup of punishment, and your honor will be turned to disgrace. Right, so now your honor is turned to, what you say?
Gospel.
What you say?
Gospel.
Yeah, I'm preaching the word. I'm preaching the word. I'm preaching the word. Yeah, watch your mouth. You in turn will be covered with shame instead of honor. Yeah, he shut his ass up too. You in turn will be covered with shame instead of honor. You yourself will drink and stagger. Ha'adwan Yahweh will make you drink your own cup of punishment, and your honor will be turned to disgrace. That's right, man, and that's the time that wins. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up through the spirit. I pray, hey, these devils is done, man. I pray that this lesson was not only edifying, but also exhorting and comforting. I once again want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathe Yahweh, and Barakathe Yahweh Shai, and the water, Yahweh Shemiah Shai, Kayaha, Barakah Kodash, the Holy Spirit which moved me, compelled me to come out here, and our Adawan Ratazah tomorrow, be right back at it like a script at it, and you already know, hey, non-stop on the block till these people drop, and we rise to the top with a Mashiach. All right, till next time, a ball, and shalom to the remnant, and shalom to the elect.